Good evening and welcome to Asaase Business PM with me, Kevin Annan, and with my co-host. Tonight on the SDG-Hub, we will discuss the topic measuring success in secular businesses, how to know if they are doing well. And to discuss this, we have with us Randy Adjei. He's the environmental analyst at Footprints Africa. Business PM is brought to you in partnership with the Center for Sustainable Transformation. Good evening again. If you just tuned in, you're welcome to our SDG Hub run by the Center for Sustainable Transformation, CeST, here on Asaase Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Annan. I'm doing this with my colleague from CeST and co-host
Rosemary Balami
from our Young Reporters for the Environment Ghana program. Today we are embarking on a journey into the innovative world of sustainable business practices. We are exploring a topic that is not just pertinent but pivotal in our ever-changing global landscape. I'm thrilled to have with us tonight as we unravel the complexities of measuring success in secular businesses and to know how to know if they are doing well.
Yes, Kevin, in today's world where environmental consciousness is more crucial than ever, secular businesses have emerged as pioneers of change. These enterprises are rewriting the rules of commerce, emphasizing the importance of reducing waste, reusing resources, and recycling materials. But amidst these transformative efforts, how do we measure their success? What metrics define their impact on the environment, the economy, and society at large?
Very critical questions right there, Rose. Well, to provide insight into the topic today, we have an expert who would help us better understand the carbon market and explore its immense potential for creating a cleaner and a greener future. We've been joined in the studios again by Randy Adjei. He's an environmental analyst at Footprints Africa. Welcome, Randy.
Hi, Kevin.
How are you doing?
I'm good, yourself?
It's good to have you here today.
Yeah, I feel the same here.
Yeah. So for starters, we'd like you to tell us briefly about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. I try not to bore people with what I do, but basically I believe companies have so much they can give out in their communities. And you can only do this if you understand the impacts that you're making and what's more you can do so. My work is basically trying to have companies understand the impact they are making and put in measures they can work on so that this impact is being enhanced, amplified, and others are learning from them. So that is basically my work.
All right. So we're going to start with the basics. Could you please explain to the listeners what exactly a secular business is and why is it so important in today's world?
Thank you for the question, Kevin. But before I proceed, I must say I really admire the work you're doing here.
Thank you very much.
I was speaking to my colleague about how important it is having this because you have so many companies trying to do all these great things, but you have consumers and you have like the general public who want to see these things. They want to hear these things to be inspired. And with the work that you do here, this is how they're able to hear all these stories. And you putting the spotlight on the companies that are in the secular space is really beautiful to see.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the compliments.
Okay, so to your question, what a secular business is, I mean, basically it's a company into the secular economy space. And when we say secular, we had an interesting workshop on Thursday where we were asking the participants what secular economy is, and we tried to break it down, secular and economy. And we had someone say secular means runabout. I mean, people laughed right away, but thinking back, I found that to be my most interesting definition of what secular is. We say secular, I mean, if you are going back to the runabout as an analogy, look at resources and think about an imaginative and runabout. Resources going in a secular manner, and by going in a secular manner, waste won't be generated because these things are being used over and over. So when we say secular economy, we are trying to keep resources in use for as long as possible. And if we do this, it means waste is not going to be generated. Waste is being used as resources, so there won't be the need to go for virgin materials. And we understand all the impacts that come with extracting these virgin materials. So this is really important for the world that we live in. We don't want to have a future where our grandkids will come and they realize granddaddy, grandmommy, they've used everything and it's not in a good shape. So this is something that we are trying to avoid, and we believe businesses are in like a position to help make this be a reality.
Okay, so we have a job to do for posterity in terms of sustainability.
Exactly.
Awesome. How is a circular business different from any other type of style that businesses are run? For example, the linear economy.
So previously, I mean, back then we had companies who would just like go for these virgin materials. They use it, it becomes, their consumers will finish using it in whatever packaging it came in, whatever shape it came in, that will be the end. They will just like dispose it off. Circular economy, we believe whatever they are disposing of, that can be resourced either for that same company or for a different organization. And it won't be made possible if these producers don't understand this, like the principles. It won't be made possible if consumers don't know this. So linear economy, you are just using disposing of. Circular economy, you are making sure whatever you are extracting, this is going to be kept in use for as long as possible. Okay. And doing this too, you are using clean energy to do it so that the impact is seen in like various areas.
Okay, can you give us a practical example for those who do not know, an example of a circular business module? Yes. So
circular economy can be applied fully, or like, you can just do some parts of the principles. I don't want to mention brand names. I don't know who is sponsoring us.
Okay. So no brand names.
No brand names.
We can go with a product, not necessarily the brand.
So imagine I'm into the production of soya milk, and I have bottles, glass bottles to do this. Now my consumers can drink it, just dispose it off, and whatever happens to the bottles, like, I don't care. That is linear. They've used my product. The bottles have been disposed of. Now, if I decide to go back, have like a collection system to collect these bottles, refill it, and sell my items, this is me becoming circular, because what was previously waste is being used as a resource, and the resource being the bottles that previously were being discarded.
So linear economy creates waste.
Exactly.
And circular economy creates value.
Yes. In a circular world, there is nothing like waste.
Okay. Excellent.
So Kevin, that even reminds me, in the past, when we go and buy this Coca-Cola and stuff, you
are mentioning brand names.
Exactly. Well, it's a positive thing, but those times, when we are going to buy, maybe, I don't even know what I'm going to give again, but I already mentioned Coca-Cola. But if we are going to maybe soda or anything, we send a glass bottle and then they give us what they drink in return. So is that an example of circular?
Exactly. Okay. And as like things are like becoming different, you have people trying to be fancy, because if I send it to go and buy Coca-Cola, how are you going to get it for me? Some people like it's like they feel shy, they don't want to like bring back the bottle. So for the producers, now they think this is what our consumers want. Let's give them something in plastic, in metal. These things are recyclable, but reuse is always like prioritized over like the recycling. So that is the issue with them. This.
All right. So how do we measure the environmental practices of circular economies? Are there any indicators that we have to follow to know more about it?
Good question, and an interesting one. Usually companies will come to us, we want to measure impact, but impact is like really broad. When it comes to circular economy alone, we have more than 2,500 sub-indicators.
Wow.
So being able to identify what you have to measure is very critical. So even before you even like get to the point where you say we want to measure impact, you have to understand why you want to do this. So we can go back to your mission. What are you trying to achieve as a company? So for a company that is saying we want to avoid waste being sent to landfill, then literally you want to like measure the waste that is being like brought to your company and what you are doing to it. So if it's not going to landfill, that is the impact that you are looking at. But someone may say they want to look beyond and see the embedded impact in like the waste that like they are recycling. So we know if we are recycling the waste and we are avoiding, virgin materials from being extracted, there is a possibility that the whole embedded carbon emissions is being avoided. So that could also be an indicator they look at. But again, there are so many indicators. You can look at eutrophication if like the liquid waste from your organization is getting to water. We can look at toxicity. We can look at like so many things. So it's not just one indicator. It's all about your mission and what you want to do with the whole measurement.
The indicators are very broad.
Very broad.
Okay.
So Footprint, Africa, I understand, is working on measurements for circular businesses, or should we say circular businesses backing their claim with hard data? Right. Could you tell us, something about that and why your outfit is pushing or focusing on that?
Yeah. When you say hard data, then it means like you want to convince people, you want to provide evidence. This whole thing we talk about like sustainability, it's very easy for like anybody at all to say it. We have so many greenwash companies in this space who are claiming to like be sustainable, but again, what is your proof? And for Footprints Africa, we've been trying so hard to like provide a spotlight on these secular businesses, and we decided to like build a database which has 500 case studies across Africa, 500. And one thing that we learned from them is they believe like they are doing so much, they are trying to be sustainable, they are avoiding like emissions a whole lot. But we have companies like with linear economic models who are claiming to be also like sustainable. So how then do we like differentiate these two like models? So we felt, okay, a way to prove this is to start measuring their impact. That is why like we started like doing this whole thing. We wanted to give them a process they can follow, so that for whatever impact they are making, they can quantify it. So it's not going to be you saying we are avoiding greenhouse gas emissions, but by how much? So this is why we started.
So how do you measure? How do you do that?
So we have a framework we use. It's not straightforward, but it's modular. Modular meaning you can decide to like pick an aspect of it and apply it. But like I was saying, we start by having the companies understand the need for the measurements. And based on that, it will help us know the scope that we are going to go for. So if it's again about like the carbon footprints, we can go as far as like looking at the extraction of like the materials. You know, it's like storage, transportation, extraction. This will come with like the use of resources like electricity, like fuel. So we try to quantify the embedded emissions in there. Then we do same for maybe like the production itself, for when it is being transported to consumers, and for the consumers when they use it and it's like sent to landfill, whatever happens, or if it is like being recycled, we try to quantify all the embedded emissions in there. So it's like a term we call life cycle assessment that we use. But again,
it's like everything within the value chain.
Exactly. But scoping is like really important. So we do this. Whatever data we get, we do the analysis, then we sit with the companies and we say, see, this is what we've seen from the analysis. These are the things that we are recommending you do now. What do you think is like applicable now for you? What are the things that you want to do in the future? Do you want to put this in an action plan? Whatever it is, we give them these solutions, then we help them select the ones that are.
So is it a case where do you people go for the companies, or they rather have a way of contacting you? I don't know how you
so
to get them on board.
We've had 2 cohorts that we did this for the company. The first cohort, we had 5 companies across Africa, 5 different countries, 5 different sectors. And we did this, we wanted people to know that indeed, like, measurement is possible. And it's not like for Ghana, it was like across Africa. We did this, we had another cohort, but that one was focusing on companies in Lagos, Nigeria. Currently, what we are trying to do is we want this to be as accessible as possible. So we've produced a document that companies can like learn from it. It's more like a handbook that we have on our website. But we also provide the whole measurement as a paid service. That's for companies who are able to like afford it, they can do so. But for funders who want to like make this available as a subsidized service too, we try to make this
available. Wow, that's really, really like innovative right there. Thanks. And so let's talking about innovation, for instance, is at the core of secular businesses. And so can you highlight some innovative business models that have emerged within the secular economy, and how these models are contributing to both business success? How can businesses combine profitability and also environmental sustainability?
I mean, there are so many of them, like I said, over 500 case studies, but the one company that stands out for me is a company, and they are into the production of black soldier fly. So what they do is, black soldier fly, they are like house flies, but like a different type, and they feed on organic waste. Once they feed on organic waste, what becomes like the output is like organic fertilizer, which can be applied by farmers. So already you can sell that out as fertilizer. But then even for the larvae, once they are dried up, it becomes feed that you can provide to like your fish or your poultry. So they have like all these multiple ways of like making money. But of course, if it comes to like the sustainability part, we can look at all the amount of waste that is being diverted from landfill. So it makes it a very interesting case study.
Indeed. So secular practices also require a shift in mindsets, not just for businesses but also for consumers as well. How can businesses educate and influence consumers to make more sustainable choices, and how does this education impact the success of secular models?
When it comes to the how, I think the first thing is understanding your audience. And usually as you, the like business owner, do you understand these things yourself? Once you fully understand it, you should be able to like explain it to a 10-year-old.
Okay.
I mean, I can sit here and say my company is diverting like this amount and we are avoiding the emission, like 20 tons of carbon emissions like in a year. It's been mean nothing to someone who doesn't even know about greenhouse gas like emissions, but how do you make this like very like understandable for them? So a comparison you can make is this is the amount of like greenhouse gases we are avoiding, and it is equivalent to planting 20 trees. Already it clicks. So how do you like make comparisons, analogies that they can easily relate to, so that once like you are talking about all the impacts you are making, they're also appreciating it by like making it very understandable.
Indeed.
All right, Randy. So one of the most critical things, yet one of the most challenging things for businesses is financing, and I think that it's worse for businesses that are trying to go green, the environmentally sustainable businesses. So how do you, as a business, convince an investor that, you know, I'm doing a sustainable business, an environmentally sustainable business, and I need financing? How do you get them to buy into the idea that it's not only sustainable, but it can also be economical?
You know, the challenge is companies will just like start working based on something they learned probably in school from a friend. They'll be working, and at a point they realize they need funding, so they'll go to the investors. But I mean, these investors, they have like a criteria what they are funding. Some of them, they have projects, or like they have like missions that they are hoping to find like similar projects that will align with them. So if you're able to like find the right investor and you know what like they're interested in, again, measurement comes in here. For a company or for like, you know, investors who are interested in like, you know, trading in carbon credits, you know, as a company into like recycling, whatever it is, you know, for your operations, it is contributing towards like the avoidance of greenhouse gas emissions. So already you can try and align it with these investors, but it's very critical to understand what they want to know, and based on that you try to measure and find the data that they need, so that the convincing is going to be very easy, because trust me, you are not the only company going to them for investments. How do you make sure what you are saying, you are adding like the hard evidence we spoke about earlier to whatever you tell them? So you're not only going to say, oh, I'm being sustainable, but you can give them like that hard data by this much. It makes it easier for them to like relate to it. If they're going to produce their annual report, whatever it is, these are the same numbers that they are going to put in this report. You go to some websites, and for their CSRs, they try to like talk about all the things they are investing in. These numbers makes it like easy for them to do so, and they rather like invest in a company who is making their work easy by like providing these things readily available.
Okay, so know your business, and then know how you fit into a potential investor's plans.
Yeah,
and provide evidence as well, I guess.
Evidence is very key.
Excellent.
Indeed. So looking into the future, what trends do you foresee in the world of circular businesses, and how can, you know, technology and consumer awareness shape the way these businesses measure and achieve success in the coming years?
That's a loaded question. But you know, the thing about technology is like it makes everything like easier. So for the companies who previously didn't even know about circular economy, first of all, technology will help them like get access to like, you know, similar stories for them to like learn from each other. That is one thing. But even before you like start working in any space, making the right decisions is like very key. So for some of the business owners, they would rather like start by like assessing their suppliers to see which ones to go for. Currently, measurement in this like states it can be expensive, it can be tedious. I believe with the advancements in technology is going to make it easier for like companies to adopt this particular process. And even for consumers, I mean, imagine you want to like buy a phone, like you have like 10 options. You can easily, if like these technologies are like made available, you can just pick one and you can use it to assess your options. So for companies who indeed, you know, you are contributing towards like this impact, it makes it easier for you to measure, for you to communicate it, and for consumers to like assess their options.
All right. Lastly, unfortunately, we are getting to the end of our show. So the last thing is, what advice would you give to businesses who are looking to embrace circular practices? What are the first steps? What should they know and what should they do? For starters.
You know, I would say don't be afraid to take risks, but come on, business owners are usually like the biggest risk takers, if not gamblers. But I would say when you are starting, that's like the best chance to make the right decisions. You can learn from people's past mistakes. Whatever you think you are doing, trust me, someone has done that before, so you can like always go to these people, learn from them. Again, our database is there. We have more than 500 of these case studies. If you want to learn from already existing case studies, you can do so. If you want to like make the right decisions, measurements is there, assess options, and go for the one that will help you make the most impact.
Indeed, you should take risks. Very very good advice right there. Thank you so much, Randy, for sharing your expertise and insights on measuring success in secular businesses. It's clear that these innovative approaches are not just beneficial for the environment, but also essential for the future of the business world.
It is time for our environmental news segment with Isaac Accra, where we explore the latest updates, challenges, and victories in our ongoing battle for a sustainable world. Isaac.
Okay, so in today's environmental news on SDG-Hub, Akosombo and Pound Dam spillage displaced more than 2,000 people in Pro East in Bono East region, and also AMA boss cleaned 5 sub-metros. Details of these and other stories coming up shortly. Do stay with us. By the way, my name is Isaac Akpa. Now, in details, the founder of Finance and Industrial Machinery Africa, FIMA, Nana Osemiano, says for Ghana to deal with its waste challenges, it must adopt industrial approach solutions. For him, there should be innovative technology and heavy-duty waste collection vehicles across the major cities and towns in the country to deal with the sanitation issue. He continued that the both government and private enterprises should be committed in investing capital in waste machinery and human resources for training personnel to collect the flood of garbage within the communities. He said this at the 11th edition of the West Africa Clean Energy and Environment Trade Fair and Conference, WASI 23 in Accra, where FIMA and FOA introduced their flagship product, the Rotopress, to the West Africa market. Interacting with the media, Nana Osemiano said it had supplied 30 of the waste vehicles to just one group of companies, that's Zoomline so far. And also at the same program, former Minister of State, Dr. Joyce Aye, who cut the tape to officially outdoor the vehicle, encouraged metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies to acquire them to manage their waste. Still in sanitation issues, where the Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive Elizabeth Saki has embarked on 5-hour cleanup exercise at Ashiado Keteke, Okwaikwe South and Ablekuma South sub-metros. According to her, the exercise was to desal drains, clear the waste and sweep the field in these areas to ensure a clean environment and save the people from diseases. The exercise is part of AMA's awareness-raising effort on sanitation and the need to maintain clean environment or surroundings to ward off preventable diseases. She therefore urged the sub-metros to intensify effort to enforcing the bylaws and monitoring sanitary conditions within the communities for the right things to be done. However, the Ablekuma Sub-Metro Environmental Health Officer, George Lawson, said he has served notices to those households that fail to participate in the exercise to clean their frontage immediately to avoid prosecution. He urged the residents to change their attitudes towards sanitation issues to ensure better environment and good health. To our last story on environmental news, where more than 2,000 people have been rendered homeless in 15 communities along the lower Volta Lake Basin in the Pro East District in the Bono East region. This follows the spillage of the Akosombo and Pond dams, which wreaked havoc as houses and sanitation facilities such as toilets, refuse dump sites, and cemeteries were submerged, threatening the health of the victims. Also, some schools have been submerged, compelling authorities in the area to close down the affected schools. All commercial activities, mainly fishing and farming, which are the main livelihoods of the people in the area, have also been curtailed. The assembly member for the area, Godwin Ewudu, said though the area continued to witness flooding each year, The spillage of the Akosombo and Kron dams have worsened the situation. And also large tracts of farms have been flooded with their livelihoods taken away from them. That will be all for environmental news on SDG-Hub. I am Isaac Apa. See you next week.
Thank you so much, Isaac. And that was a wrap on the environmental news segment. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. So please tune in same time next week as we continue discussions on all things sustainable development right here on Asaase Radio 99.5 so that people and the planet can prosper. If you have any topic you want us to discuss, please share with us and shoot an email to sdghub@cestint.org. Remember, dear listeners, the future is in our hands, and it's our responsibility to ensure a healthier planet for generations to come. Keep raising your voices, keep advocating for change, and keep tuning into the SDG Hub for more insightful conversations. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay eco-conscious.
Thank you again for staying with us on the SDG Hub. We have been speaking with Randy Adjei. He is the environmental analyst at Footprints Africa. I've been your host, Kevin Annan, and I did this with my co-host,
Rosemary Balami.
We go back to Beatrice.